Hi everybody, this is the third project that I'm calling Tunnel. And let me show you why it's called Tunnel. In your Files tab in Canvas, you'll see something called Dupe2 folder. I might rename this just Tunnel. And there's a bunch of files in it. These will probably all be named these funny names. They're the original names of the files that were on some tutorial disk or project long ago. But this Dupe This MOV is the one that we're going to try to make. So if you look at this, it's called Tunnel because there's this kind of red mystical tunnel with a light at the end, and there's these rotating objects. And what you want to do is watch this and look at it closely and try to figure out what's going on and how you might build it. To my eye, and again I've built this over and over and over again, I see sort of three layers. There's the background layer, this red tunnel. There's another layer that's a plane with these four objects spinning, rotating, doing some stuff. And then there's a larger clock in the foreground in front. So I think of this, when my After Effects brain looks at this as three sort of planes. Some of the things you might notice is these four objects, not only are they on the same plane, that might tell you something about how it's built, but the fact that they're all rotating together at the same place should suggest to you that they are linked in some way. And also, the fact that they're all fading out together at the exact same time might tell you that opacity keyframes are doing that. They're going opacity from 100% visible to 0 invisible, and then back again. And the fact that they're all doing it together suggests that maybe there's one set of opacity keyframes that's doing it for all four objects. You could do opacity on each object, fade in, fade out on the phone, fade in, fade out on the skull, but the fact that they're all in sync tells me that they're probably all together in one layer. Hint, hint. Okay, so, sorry, I just accidentally hit pause. That's the thing we're trying to make. The parts you need for that are this, and this. So in your files, you want to download these, and the way you do that is find the file, and over here in these dots, click download. And this one. And it's going to ask me where I want to put it. So I want to put it in my Summer 19. Is that where everything is? Yeah, put it in there. And this one, the alarm clock, download that. It's going to remember to put it in Summer 19. Telephone, download it in Summer 19. Dupe This, I'm not going to download that. Actually, yes I will. That way I can have it on my desktop to look at. And magnifying glass, yep, download that. And X-ray skull, download that. Okay, and then come over here to After Effects. Here in After Effects, I'm going to make a new project. And when you make a new project, it does not ask you to name it and save it, which is a unfortunate oversight for Adobe. So you want to do that. File, save as, and I will call this tunnel.aep After Effects project in my Summer 19 folder, I think, where everything is. Save it. Okay, and let's import the parts. So I say File, Import. I can say one at a time file or go multiple files. If I go multiple files, oh look, they're all here at the top of my Mac queue. Your computer might not be that friendly, or if you're on a PC, it might not do that. But everything here, if I hold down Shift, I can do multiple. So I can do the loop is the red background, the alarm clock is the alarm clock. I don't need that tunnel AEP, that's this project, so you don't want to import that into itself. I'm holding down Shift to, actually I don't want Shift, I want Control, not Control, sorry, Command to select. I don't want this. I want that, and I want that. So this is the red loop, this is the alarm clock, this is the telephone, This is the that's the skull, and this is the magnifying glass. That should be it. So I say open. You're going to get this where it tells you that some of the items have an unlabeled alpha channel. That just means the image file has some transparency information that might be useful. I always go with the default here and trust that After Effects knows what it's talking about, which it does. So when it says leave it straight unmatted, I just say OK. And it's going to keep saying that for some of these files. Don't worry about it. And then it's going to, because I chose import multiple files, it's going to ask me it's going to ask me if I want to import any more, and I don't. So I'll just say never mind. Thank you. Cancel. All right, so this is all my stuff right here. And let's get started. I could make a new composition and make it to a specific size and call it something. Or I could look at the original, my downloads. Where is it? Let's look at this original. Downloads. Where did I put it? Oh, I know. I didn't put it in downloads. I put it in Summer 19. So where's my Summer 19 folder? Go to desktop. This. Dupe this movie. Let's open this in QuickTime so we can take a look at it. So when I open this in QuickTime, one of the things I notice is it's not full screen. It's kind of small, right? This is not 1920 by 1080. So I'm thinking that this clip is based on the size of the background, the red tunnel. So if I look over here at the red tunnel, which is this one, look at the size of it. It's 320 by 240, which is small. So I'm going to do the trick where I hold down Control and click on this and say make a new comp from that selection. And it makes a new comp that is the pixel size of this red tunnel and also the duration of it. One of the things about this clip is that it is a loop. So if you know something's a loop, let me show you this. When you look at it in QuickTime, if you say File, or I'm sorry, if you look at View and say Loop, under View, if you said it's a loop, and play this QuickTime, this file is built so that when it gets to the end and goes back to the beginning, it's a seamless loop. So watch this play indicator when it gets to the end and it goes back to the beginning. See how there's just like a little tiny hitch? But everything matches. The position of all the objects matches. The tunnel in the background matches. Watch, here it comes. See how it's seamless? Alright, so lots of times you want to build something, like for websites, you might want something that plays on a loop. Or it used to be in the days when when there were DVD players, menus would just have a looping video in the front. Or you'll see looping things lots of times on kiosks like ATM machines or gas pumps, or in subway stations. Anytime there's a motion graphic that plays all the time, it's probably a loop. So it's nice to understand how to build loops. Now, and this is a good example of that. So this red clip is a loop when it gets to the end. For instance, if I play this here, in After Effects, if I play this, watch, when it gets to the end, it goes back to the beginning. See how it's seamless? Watch, I'll do it again. Start here. See, it's invisible. This is built to be a loop. So, knowing that, I'm going to build this whole thing to be a loop. It's easier to build a loop if you know it's supposed to loop from the beginning, rather than try to take something and force it to be a loop. If you build it from the get-go to be a loop, you can kind of build it accordingly. It's easier to do that than to try to pick something that's not. So with that in mind, this thing is what, like 11 seconds about, or what is it? It's 10 seconds, 24 frames. So it's about 11 seconds. So the next thing I want to do is bring in my 4 objects, right? So here's my skull, and my magnifying glass, and my telephone, and my alarm clock. Right? So I'm going to hold down Shift, select all these things, and bring them over here all together. Boom. Now you'll see they're all selected and they're all here, and they're all huge, giant, big. So I can scale them all down at the same time. You don't have to do it this way, but it's a shortcut that I discovered by accident one time, doing it just this way. You drag them all in together, They're all still selected. Since they're all still selected, when I hit S, scale will open for all of them. See that? And since they're all selected, if I scale 1, they're all scaling together. So this is a shortcut, right? So I'm scaling them all down to make them small. And now I want to position them in that sort of quad arrangement. Okay? So they're all scaled down. I'm going to click off to unselect them. And now individually I'm going to grab them one by one. I'm going to take the alarm clock and put it over here. I'm going to take the phone, put it over here. Take the magnifying glass, put it over here. I'll take the skull and put it over here. Now, I'm going to manually adjust the size a little bit because I'm not too keen on this size, right? So I'll take the magnifying glass, select it over here. And right now I'm struggling on which one of these is the magnifying glass because they have funny names. So here's something that I like to do. When things have funny names, this is going to slow me down as I work. Every time I glance over here and look at these, I'm going to be stymied about what's what. Sorry to use slang. Stymied means confused. I'm not going to understand what this is. So I like to rename things to save me time and confusion. So one of the ways you can rename things over here is to control-click and drop down where it says rename. And now it's selected. I'm going to just call this clock in all caps. So when I look over here, I can see clock, and I don't have to waste time trying to figure out what's what. Control-click on this, rename. I'll call it phone. Control-click on this one, rename it, and call it, this is the magnifying glass, so I'll call this one glass. And this one is the skull. Control-click on this and call it skull. And then this one, rename it red tunnel. Okay. And I'm going to do one more thing before I pause and make another clip. I'm going to just adjust like this magnifying glass. I'm going to make it a little smaller. And the skull, I think I want to be a little bigger. That's pretty good. And maybe make the phone a little bigger too. And I'm just dragging these scale numbers to kind of fix them. I find that if I drag the scale numbers, it scales things uniformly and I have more control than grabbing these transform handles. If you grab the transform handle here and try to scale it, you're going to wind up distorting your images, right? And a distorted image looks weird. You know, it's squashed or stretched, so I try to avoid distorting my images. Okay? And then one more thing I'm going to do, if I look at the QuickTime, you'll notice that I want to notice the orientation of these objects. Like this magnifying glass has the top of the magnifying glass is always towards the center. The telephone is spinning. Clock is spinning. The skull is not spinning. It's animated. The skull is actually a video clip that is animating, but the top of the skull's head is always towards the middle. So I'm going to orient those objects to be oriented in that fashion. So I'm going to take the phone and hit R for rotate, and use the rotation to set it up so that the phone is sort of like this at the top of the phone. Some snapping is going on here. I don't know. See how it's snapping? Sometimes that's useful, but it's kind of bothering me right now. So let me see if I can figure out how to turn that off. View, look for snapping. Show guides, snap to guides? Maybe that. No, that's not snap to guides. Where's snapping? Animations. Layer, maybe? Where do they put snapping? Usually there's just something called snapping you can turn on and off. And I'm not used to it doing that. It's strange. Alright, I'll have to look for it and find it. Anyway, I'll just put up with it for now. Maybe if I hold down Option or Control. You know, sometimes Adobe will have a little keyframe shortcut, command. I want to take the skull and rotate it so that the top of the head is facing the middle, like that. And take the magnifying glass and hit R for rotate. Rotate that so it's like the skull, the top of it's in the middle, and then move its position back out here. But that snapping is really aggravating. And then the clock, hit R for rotate, and rotate the clock so the top is that way. So that's pretty good. All right, I'm going to pause here for a minute and then pick it up in the next